Hello, this is Tom Grubbe. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate 3 methods to perform focus blends. If you're not aware what a focus blend is, it is simply a way to combine several images in order to maximize your depth of field. For example, in this set of images, the first one I focused in the foreground, the middle one I focused in the middle ground, and the third one I focused in the foreground. And you combine those in Photoshop, and you have maximum depth of field throughout the image. So for this, I'm going to just go ahead and go to Photo and Edit in and open as layers in Photoshop. By the way, this image was taken at the San Jacinto Wildlife Area in Lakeview, California. Okay, now that you open as layers in Photoshop, you have to rearrange them, at least I do. So I like it in reverse order from, the least numbered image to the greatest. And first thing I'm going to do for this method is to go to Edit and then go to Auto Align Layers and make sure Auto is checked and click OK. And this takes care of any movement that may occur between your exposures. Maybe, you moved it slightly or whatever, the wind blows. So this does a pretty good job of aligning that stuff. Although it does create this edge here which needs to be cropped out. So let me crop that out real fast. Otherwise it'll be annoying. Alright, good enough. And for the actual focus blend itself, I'm going to just highlight the images that need the focus blend that I'm going to combine, go to Edit and Auto Blend Layers, choose Stacked Layers and leave these checked and click OK. This is really the simplest method, but you'll see in a second, I don't know what that means, I'm sure Photoshop will fix that. And it creates a merged image. And let's uncheck the sky image, I'll do that later. But once you do the auto align layers and auto blend layers, inspect what it did. Make sure that there aren't any artifacts or weird areas that don't look quite right. But here it looks pretty good. It looks like it did a good job throughout. In fact, excellent job as a matter of fact. So what I'm going to do is finish this off by adding the sky image and just a couple enhancements real quick. And then we'll move on to part 2. So for this, I'm just going to want to just kind of feather my selection. Not too much, but 160-ish, something like that. Okay. I don't even really care about going past the edge of the selection. Doesn't matter to me. At least for this image, I'm not. Okay. And I think it needs some contrast. It's probably going to look like too much, and it may be. Although, I don't know. And I'm going to lighten up that sky a little bit. Oops, not there, there. Go ahead and put that on soft light. Make sure I have white selected and brush about 10% maybe. Keyboard's not working, so I'll do this. Okay. And then finally do a stamp visible layer. And I want to add a vignette because I like vignettes. So I'm going to choose multiply. This is usually how I do it. And then press Alt for a layer mask. And so this is how I usually do my vignettes. I don't like auto vignettes. And I know this looks silly. This is not going to stay like this. But I'm going to just back this off around another 7 or 10%. And then switch to black. And then I'll even it out here and also back off the opacity. Like I was saying about vignettes, and I'm about vignettes. I love vignettes. I use them all the time. But I don't like the auto vignettes where everything is perfectly in a nice oval through all 4 corners. To me, that's not the purpose of a vignette. A vignette is there to focus the attention, to focus the eye to a portion of the image that you want. It's not to just make a nice frame. So anyway, So I'll just back this off a little bit. Yeah, a vignette is basically just focus the eye somewhere. And I want to focus it right here. So there you go. Anyway, we'll call this one done. And we'll move on to part 2. Thanks. Hello, this is part 2 of the Focus Blend tutorial. In this section, I'm going to combine these 3 images, which I took at a stream near Trillium Lake in Portland, Oregon. You might notice that there are different exposures, unfortunately, because I shot these using aperture priority instead of shooting fully manual, which is what you should do. But it's okay. You can actually blend these without too much difficulty. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing and go to Photo, Edit in, and open as layers in Photoshop. Okay, just as before, I'm going to go ahead and rearrange these so they are in order numerically, and they are. I'm going to select them all and go ahead and do the same thing as I did before with alignment. So choose Auto Align Layers, and we'll go ahead and do that. And I think we need to do that because of the foliage here. It did move in between exposures for sure. And by doing that, Photoshop will do a pretty decent job of aligning those. So we'll do that. Okay, so if I uncheck these, you can see the difference in the focus. You can tell the foreground is in focus here, and the middle ground is a little fuzzy, and the background is definitely fuzzy. And then this one, the middle ground is in focus, and so is the background somewhat, but not the foreground. And of course, in this one, the background is very much in focus, and this is very blurry. So the way I'm going to blend this is not to use Edit, Auto Blend Layers, like I did with the previous image. I'm going to go ahead and use Layer Mask. And I'm going to select the middle layer mask, which is going to be these images. And I don't know if you know about layer mask, but black reveals and white conceals, which means that, at least this is the way I look at it, when you use black, you can see through to the bottom layer. And if you paint white on a black layer, then you cover up those sections of the bottom layer. Anyway, that's how I often viewed it. And that's how I remember it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in fully here to 100% and kind of see where I need to do my focus blends. And make sure I'm at 100%. And you can see it just jump forward. Now you can use a soft brush or a semi-soft brush, but I would recommend not using a hard brush for this, because you will start to see the edges of the brush as it, as you do your painting here. And you don't want that. So, okay, I think I'm done with painting in the sections of the middle image. And I think all that's left is the background. So let me switch over to the background, make sure to click the masks part and not the image part. So click the mask, make sure you got a white brush, and then simply paint in those areas of the background. But it looks like this one, I think we're done as far as the blend part is concerned. Let me go ahead and crop this. Get a little more of that sky out of there. Okay. And I'm going to do one more thing, and that's to get rid of some of these distractions, because they are distracting. And you know as well as I do, images are never done. You want to just keep doing this stuff until they're perfect. And they never are. So, but I'm not going to waste your time with this. I'm just going to get rid of some of these distractions and then move on to part 3. So, okay, there you go. Thanks for watching part 2. Part 3 follows. Thanks again. Okay, this is part 3 of my Focus Blend tutorial. In this section, I'm going to blend 11 images, and these are macro shots of this pink lily here. And the reason I'm going to not use Photoshop to do the blend is because it would take forever to do, and it may not do the best job. When you're presented with this amount of precision as macro shots demand, you really want to use a dedicated piece of software. So the software that I'm going to use is called Helicon Focus from Helicon Soft. And to do this, you install the software and you go to File, Export, and then choose Helicon Focus in the dropdown. And it will save all these images and to a temp folder as in the format that you specified. I specified TIFF because I like the 16-bit. Helicon Focus will stack these. It'll stack them in order also, and allow you to make some adjustments. You could save those adjustments and then render. And after you're rendered, you can do some touch-ups. Although I have a word about that in a second. We'll let this finish here. There it is. There's the UI for Helicon Focus, and you can see that it has the stack in order. And I shot these, I think, at f13, so I didn't need too many to get everything in focus. But one thing that's nice also, if you saw just there, the focal length also moves with the focus, but Helicon Focus adjusts for that too. For this thing, the defaults seem to work fine for me, and also the method using depth map. And you can modify your radius or smoothing, whichever. Just play with these, whatever you think work best for your image. Anyway, I'm going to leave the defaults for now, and then just click on render, and it'll zoom through each of these and do the blend, and it actually does it fairly fast, at least on this machine. And before you know it, hey, it's done. And look at that. That is pretty darn good. And you could also do some retouching, but I've had issues with this before, unfortunately, where I've had like smearing with brush tools and things like that. So I pretty much just use it for the renderer. I don't bother with any of the other tools, and then just do a save and save it as what I want. And for this image, I actually didn't like this part right here, the background. I didn't want that part in focus, but so what I did, here's the finished image in Photoshop, which I just applied a Gaussian blur. So it looks more natural, I think. But anyway, that's really it. I really like that tool. And another thing that's nice that Helicon provides is an extra piece of software called Helicon Remote, which you can use on a laptop. You can use it on a tablet, and it allows you to select the nearest point that you want in focus of the image and select the furthest. This is when you're taking the picture, so you're tethered to these devices, and so you focus on the nearest one and then select the point in the furthest part of the image that you want to be in focus, and Helicon Remote will take a series of images until that's done and allow you to focus stack those, which is super convenient, and that's a really nice piece of software. But anyway, this is the third method. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the whole tutorial. So thanks for joining me. Leave some comments below if you like, and thanks again. Bye-bye.